And I'm live. Right. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the show. I'm going to make a response to SJJ. SJJ just made a video about Brexit. And I thought the easiest way to do a response is just to watch his video and talk about it while I'm watching it. So I just sat down to do this and I just realized I should have done this at like 5 or 6 or something or whatever, when people are actually at home from work. But whatever, I've just finished work and I kind of want to get this over and done with so I can relax. So let's watch the SJJ video and then we'll respond, or I will respond. There's one person watching. Maybe that's probably me. If you're listening, can you just give me a message in the comment section to tell me that you can hear the audio, and that's fine. Oh, hello, Steve Peters. SJJ Jew. No, we love SJJ. He's a good guy. We love SJJ. He's a good guy. This is a peace and love live stream. SJJ will always be welcome on the Anglo Gang. The beauty of the Anglo Gang is that we have strength in diversity. Diversity is our greatest strength. Okay, we have a diversity of opinions. Tharian, for example, hates America and he wants to destroy it. He wants nuclear devastation for America, whereas I want to save it. Many different opinions, so we disagree about stuff. That's why it's an interesting live stream. Unlike many of the other live streams and podcasts out there where everybody just agrees with each other, we argue with each other, which is why it's interesting. So let's get into it.
Brexit was a disaster from a nationalist perspective. Now, I dared to attack this shibboleth on the dissident right last night, and I was chewed up and spat out by my own friends, called a traitor to nationalism, effectively. That was the implication. Called a globalist. Oh my God, SJJ, I can't believe that you dare go here. Well, show me the benefits on the graph.
Okay, right, straight away. If you are against Brexit, then you kind of are a traitor to nationalism. So, I mean, that just kind of is what it is. Thank you, Fake Jord. It was a good show. I mean, that is what it is. Like you can't be against Brexit and also call yourself a nationalist at the same time. As far as I'm concerned. Sorry, I'm gonna have to click off, otherwise I'll be reading the chat and I'll get distracted. You can't be a nationalist and be against Brexit because the European Union is heading in one direction. The European Union is heading towards creating a United States of Europe. This is the game plan. This is what these people are doing. This all goes back to Woodrow Wilson and his New World Order. Woodrow, I keep saying this again and again, but he was the president of America who established the Fed during the First World War, or around about that time, just before the First World War. He was the one that talked about the New World Order. The New World Order is American dominance of the world, but it's also just globalization. He created the League of Nations. Later on, when that fell to pieces, they created the United Nations. And now in the post-war world, we live in the age of the United Nations and the age of the World Economic Forum, the World Health Organization, the many different NGOs. I can't list them all off the top of my head, but many different international organizations which sit on top of the world. Bilderberg Group, there's another one for you. They sit on top of the world like a spider's web. They've created an administration that sits on top of the world, and all the different countries of the world kind of pay taxes. Essentially, they pay to maintain these organizations, and it's taken for granted that these organizations exist now. This is considered to be normal. Whereas before the Second World War, it was like every man for himself, every country against every other country. It was a totally different world. Now it's taken for normal that our prime ministers go to the G7 or the G20 or whatever. But all of this is just heading in one direction. It's like demographics is destiny, right? Why are we against mass immigration? Because we know where it's going. We are going to be a minority in our own country. In the same way, when it comes to globalization, we know where it's going. It's going towards a single world government and a new world order. That's where it's going. That is the direction in which the thing is heading. It's layer upon layer upon layer of bureaucracy layered on top of the nations of the world, supported by the central banking system and supported by giant corporations and just bossing people around, essentially pushing forward their globalist agenda, their global warming agenda and their mass migration agenda and all the rest of it. And the European Union is just part of that. And I mean, I remember back in the day, people used to talk, because there's an African Union, by the way. I mean, this is an old Alex Jones talking point. You can go look it up on Wikipedia. There's an African Union. There's a South American Union. There's they were talking about rolling out the North American Union. They even had a clip that they were going to start a new currency, call it the Emero or something. I mean, that got mothballed. And the idea was you'd have all these different unions and then you connect them all together and you have the single world government. I mean, obviously that kind of didn't pan out as they planned it. But whatever the case, the thing is heading in a certain direction. So if you want to join the European Union, you are not a nationalist. Right? You're just not a nationalist. And so, I don't know, is traitor too much of a harsh term? Maybe it is. Maybe it's a harsh term. I'm sorry. But you're not, you can't call yourself a nationalist. You're a globalist. Because that's where it's heading. And I suppose you could try and call yourself an ethno-globalist, but that doesn't make any sense at all, does it? Because globalism is multiracialism. That's what it's all about. That's where that ticket is heading as well. That's moving towards the brown utopia. All the races of the world mix with each other, and there are no more nations. There are no more identities. Everything just becomes mixed up, and we have a single world government. That's the plan. That's what we're heading for. So any move towards the European Union is a step towards that. It's a step in that direction. And any step away from it is a step away from that globalist plan, basically. So you kind of betrayed your country. Like, I don't want to be too much of an arsehole about it, but there you go. I mean, let's carry on.
Let's
just
was chewed up and spat out by my own friends, called a traitor to nationalism. Effectively, that was the implication.
There you go, traitor to
called
nationalism.
A globalist. Oh my God, SJJ, I can't believe that you dare go here. Well, show me the benefits. On the graph is December the 31st, 2020, when the transition period ended. And EU migrants went home, and what we got was radically different set of migrants. It was Africans, basically. That's what's happened here in my local town. So, like I said, I don't want to fall out with anybody, but it's okay from your little white utopia down in the southwest of England.
That's me, by the way.
Boomer utopia, to tell me
Boomer utopia.
that I'm wrong to question all this. But I'm speaking from boots on the ground here. I'm not just talking abstract, putting a graph on the screen and talking shit. I'm talking about this real place in the space-time continuum when my town transformed. We used to have Polish workers who'd come and work in the factories and the warehouses here.
Okay, so I actually appreciate what he's saying. I do live in a nice white utopia. I appreciate what he's saying. It's not wrong for people to speak from their own personal experience of things. Okay, that's good, by the way. And I can see the graph. And yes, obviously, after Brexit, non-European Union immigration has gone up. Nobody can deny this. This is a mathematical fact. SJJ is not wrong. Okay, but the thing is, okay. What I would like, basically, what we have here is a confusion about causality. Okay. SJJ is blaming this non-European Union immigration. He's blaming all the African immigration on Brexit. But Brexit is not to blame. The politicians are to blame. Okay, that's the real cause of this. Brexit is not the driving cause of that. And in order to prove that, you can ask yourself a simple question. Do you think we would have all these Africans in our country if we had good politicians? I mean, answer me that question. That is a yes or no question for SJJ. Would we have mass immigration if we had good politicians? Brexit and good politicians. Would we have mass immigration? And the only honest answer is no. So the problem is not Brexit. The problem is the bad politicians, essentially. And he's just kind of blaming Brexit instead, basically. I mean, that's the way I see it anyway. But I mean, I appreciate. I mean, I sympathize. Like we've all seen this, by the way. Even in my nice part of the country, we've all seen this. A bunch of Africans walking around. They've got their own cars. I see Africans driving around all over the place. Where do they get these free cars from? I don't get a free car. I drive a wreck. Do you know what I mean? I drive a wreck. So I appreciate what he's saying, but the blame lies on the politicians, not Brexit itself. Because if we'd had good politicians who were honest and who wanted to do Brexit properly, then we wouldn't have the mass immigration, basically. I mean, it's a very simple point, but there you go. That's going to be the sum and substance of my answer to everything he's saying and to everybody, every quote unquote nationalist who complains about Brexit. That's the answer. It's not leaving the European Union that is the problem. It's the politicians that are the problem, because they never wanted to do Brexit. I think they probably wanted to rig the vote, to be honest with you. I remember people sharing a video at the time of some African lady like robbing out votes and, you know, writing them in again. I can't remember if I used a pen to do my vote or it was a pencil, to be honest with you. But I think there was a lot of, I think somebody got caught with a bunch of ballots. I think there was a lot of fraud. And of course, people that were pro-Brexit, we didn't kick up a fuss about it because we'd won. And so we thought, well, if we kick up a fuss, they'll try and just run it again. And we don't want that to happen. So, but there was a lot of fraud, for sure. It's just so many people voted for it that they couldn't stop it from happening. I just don't think they expected it to happen. They weren't prepared for it to happen. And so they just stalled, and they tried to cancel it, failed to cancel it, and then like had to go along with it, which is why it took 4 or 5 years to go through, and why it's been such a mess and such a disaster. Because the elites the people that run our country don't want to have a Brexit, and probably the plan is to make a fudge of it so that in 10 years' time we can rejoin, which is what they said like 8-9 years ago. While this argument was raging, this is what they said. Oh, we'll just wait for the boomers to die. And by the way, I said this in my recent boomer video. Everyone hates the boomers. Well, the boomers voted for Brexit. And here's the Zoomer generation coming up, the SJJ generation, who are supposed to be nationalists, but apparently they're not, because they don't believe in the sovereignty of this country. They want to get ordered around by Brussels, even though they're pretending that they don't. But I mean, I don't know how. Like what do you think happens when you join the EU, right? So they don't believe in sovereignty. SJJ doesn't believe in sovereignty, and you got these younger Zoomer generations come up, and they just even the ones that are on the right want to join the European Union so they can get a holiday, so they can go and work in France. I mean, he talks about this later on in the video, but. So this has been their plan. Okay, this is the plan of the government. They want to fudge Brexit. They want to blame everything on Brexit. They roll this out in the newspapers again and again and again. They get the economists to say this again and again and again. They get the politicians, the journalists, everybody. Oh, blame everything on Brexit. Blame everything on Brexit. Wait for the boomers to die off, and then when the Zoomers come up and they're pissed off, we'll rejoin, which is exactly what is happening now, and probably Keir Starmer will try it. We'll have to see. I mean, it'll be. We'll have to see. I have to see what happens. But yeah, I mean, I was when I was driving home, I was thinking about this actually. I wonder if SJJ voted in it or not, which is an interesting angle. I didn't see him go into it, but it is true. We've got an entire generation of young men in their 20s who didn't vote for this. So maybe they don't feel like it. Maybe they feel like they've been cheated by the older generation. I can understand the psychology of that. So yeah, but anyway, I mean, that's the plan. Fudge the Brexit and then rejoin the EU. That's always been the plan, and that's why it hasn't worked. And so the Brexit itself is not the problem. It's the lack of leadership that's the problem, basically.
Picking and food processing and all this kind of stuff. They didn't destroy the town. They didn't hang around the bus station smoking ganja with their hands down their pants. All the problem, the dangers to women in the street. They didn't walk around with shopping bags on their heads. It was a completely different type of immigrant. We used to complain about it, but really we didn't realize, what we were missing. It was better the devil you know than the devil you don't. Now, all of those jobs in those same factories have been replaced by non-EU migrants, largely by Africans. And these people are here to settle. Okay, it's settled migration. And what's more, they're bringing their families. The barrier to entry for somebody coming from Africa is so much that once they get here, they're not going home. It's not like a Pole who comes for a couple of years, sends money home to his parents, okay, lives in a house with 6 other people, splits the rent, works for a couple of years and goes home. No, these are Africans here for a better life, here to stay, who don't ever want to go home. And the best argument that I've had so far to tell me why Brexit was so wonderful is that it wouldn't have stopped this anyway. That this was going to.
Okay, I don't know if that's the best argument. That is one argument, but I mean, look, yeah, obviously Polish immigration is better than African immigration, and yeah, some of the Poles they're going back to Poland now, by the way, because Poland's making money. In fact, Poland's becoming a tourist destination. Go and see what a white Europe looks like. Tommy Robinson visited, didn't he? Remember that? He goes to Israel. Everyone's pissed off, so he goes to Poland to make up for it. And everyone's like, "Oh, Tommy, we love you." Anyway, yeah, like I agree with the problem. I just don't agree with the cause of the problem, basically, or the solution to the problem. Seems like SJJ's solution to the problem is to rejoin the European Union. I mean, by the way, like, I don't think the Polish are going to come back, even if we did rejoin the European Union, because they're leaving. They're going back to Poland. A lot of them, because they've had enough, because this country's a shithole now. And you can get a better life in Poland than you can here. So even if we did, I mean, SJJ wants to rejoin the European Union, but even if we did, there's no guarantee that we're going to get a bunch of hard-working Polish coming back over here to steal our jobs. But it's interesting that the mood's changed. I don't see anybody in the Steve Laws camp complaining about the Polish anymore. Because when I first got involved in nationalism, people wanted to kick the Polish out as well. But everybody's given up on that now. That was like 10 years ago. People are like, yeah, whatever. You can stay. Done with that. It's kind of funny. It's just an observation. So anyway, what's he saying?
This argument that I've had so far to tell me why Brexit was so wonderful is that it wouldn't have stopped this anyway. That this was going to happen anyway.
I don't know. Well, I don't know if that's true. I mean, it's definitely true that they've used Brexit to ruin the country even more. Sure. I'll admit that. We couldn't get the Polish immigration, so we got the Indian immigration instead. We got the cheap labor from India and from Nigeria and whatever instead. That's true. That's true. But can you blame that on Brexit? Is that the fault of Brexit, or is that the fault of the politicians? I would argue it's the fault of the politicians. You see, using Brexit to do that.
I fully disagree with this. Like I say, because you haven't seen with your own eyeballs all the same jobs, all the same factories, all the same warehouses go from this line on the graph time in the space-time continuum change from Polish people and Romanians and Lithuanians and a few others.
I've seen it, mate. I work with a bunch of Indians, all right? I go to work and they're like, blah, 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 and they don't fucking speak English. and it's, I've seen it. I know what you're talking about.
To now being almost entirely Africans and Indians. So I'm not talking out of my arsehole here. I'm telling you what I've really seen. So this idea that this would have just happened anyway is a weak argument, because also we put ourselves through this like economic kneecapping of the country and the chaos that the country has experienced for 10 years. Definitely experienced it for like 5 years. But like the economic impact has been severe on the country. Almost every economist agrees on this. I know from your armchair.
Okay, come on. Economists agree. Come on, mate. Experts agree. Come on, like, what is going on here? Oh my God. Why are you trusting the experts? Don't listen to the experts. Okay, I'll meet SJJ halfway. Yeah, the economy's a mess. Again, whose fault is that? Is it the fault of Brexit, or is it the fault of the politicians? Did the politicians want to make Brexit work? No. Do the economists in all of these? So is it going to be a problem if you leave? You leave the European Union? Yes, of course. There's going to be some issues along the way to iron things out. I'll agree, but the politicians didn't want to make it work. They never wanted to make it work. The plan has always been to hamstring the British economy, keep it struggling on for a bit, and then blame everything on Brexit and then rejoin the European Union. That's the plan. And if you're going to sit there and say, oh, well, all the economists agree, well, if all the mainstream economists are globalists, like, what are you even talking about here? Of course they agree. Of course they agree Brexit was a disaster. It's like all the experts thought the lockdown was a good idea. All the experts believed the vaccination was a good idea. It was safe and effective, right? They think the European Union's safe and effective. Like, what are we even talking about here? Like, why are you listening to these people? I mean, and I think this is, again, I mentioned this on the live stream. I think what's happened here is SJJ's made a bunch of money trading on the stock market. Congratulations, well done. But he's made a bunch of money trading on the stock market, and now he wants to make more money, right? Okay, fair enough. But in order to make more money on the stock market, he's got to read. And so I'm assuming he's reading the Financial Times or The Economist or some, Bloomberg or whatever, right? Mainstream, because he's learning about economics, because he's learning about the stock market, because he wants to make money. Okay, you want to be an investor. Okay, he's working, in case people don't know, SJJ is working like 2 jobs. He's got his job in the day, and then in his spare time, he's driving around the place, doing deliveries, making like an extra 10 grand a year. And he's using this extra 10 grand a year to invest in the stock market. So he can dig himself out of the poverty trap. And I'm not against this, by the way. I think this is fantastic. Go ahead, grind, as the Zoomers say, right? Do the grind, save up the money, invest it in stuff, dig yourself out of the poverty trap. Good for you. But the problem is, if you're going to be doing that and you want to be an investor, you're going to be reading mainstream, you're going to be reading the Financial Times, right? And if you're reading the Financial Times, there's a danger that you end up thinking like the Financial Times. There is this danger, there is a pull to the mass media. And it's embarrassing for me to admit this, but I've experienced this before. So I do somewhat sympathize. And what I mean by this is, back in the day, I used to be into conspiracy theory, right? In the truth movement, so to speak. This is before the alt-right, before Trump, before Rotherham, and all of that, right? But I didn't understand. I didn't even have any idea at all what's the difference between right wing, left wing, conservatives, Labour. Like, it sounds crazy for me to say it now, but I just genuinely didn't really know anything about it at all. Because as far as I was concerned, the world was run by the Freemasons, and I just thought the whole thing's stupid. But anyway, embarrassingly enough, I went through a period of like a couple of months where I started reading The Guardian. Okay, don't ask me why, but I did. I'd buy because I just thought, oh, I'll try out the different newspapers. I'll sit in a cafe, drink a cup of coffee, and read the newspaper. It was just like it was a hobby. It was a habit. I just picked it up, right? I just did it for a couple of months. And I read the different newspapers. And The Guardian is kind of like, it's highbrow. Okay, it's for the midwits. So it's more intelligent than the other newspapers in a way. And they have an art. They're good at covering the arts and the culture, whereas the other ones don't. So you get, so I started reading The Guardian. Okay, embarrassing. Don't tell anybody this. Do not share this around on the internet because I don't want anybody to know this, by the way. But, but what I'm trying to say is I felt my brain getting transformed. I felt the pull of the mass media. I felt like I started questioning, 9/11. I mean, I never really doubted any of this stuff, but I can't really describe it because it was a long time ago, but I just like started to trust the system again a little bit. Whereas before I just fucking hated the government and all the politicians and the mass media, and I thought they were a bunch of fucking lying cunts. And then I started reading the newspaper every day, and then I started thinking, oh no, they got a point. Yeah, these people, they care. Do you know what I mean? Because you get sucked in. Because you are who you associate with. And if you read, this is what the BBC does to people. The boomer generation, they just watch the BBC. Right? My mum, she watches the BBC. That's all she does. Anytime I go around and visit, the BBC switched on. She spent her whole life watching the BBC. Okay? She's brainwashed. She trusts them. She thinks they're good people. I fucking hate the BBC. I can't. I go in a room and the BBC's on the TV. I can't stand it. It irritates me. It's puts like a tension in the air. I don't like it. I'm repulsed by it. Because I know it's bad. And I always make her turn it off, because it's just awful. But some people out there, they spend their whole lives watching the BBC, and so they trust the BBC. They trust the BBC. So they get brainwashed by the BBC. What I'm trying to say is what I think's happened here with SJJ is he wants to do his investment, and so he's reading about the stock market. So he's reading a bunch of economists' magazines or whatever the hell he's reading, and now he's sitting on the internet saying experts agree that Brexit's bad. Oh, you know what I mean? Do you understand? You guys understand what I'm saying? I'm not looking at the chat because I just can't do two things at the same time. I can't think and read at the same time. But that's what I think's happened here. That's my opinion. I know I'm psychoanalyzing SJJ. I know this is me like saying, it's like Alex Jones saying Candice Owens has gone crazy. I know it sounds very patronizing. I don't mean it to be, but I'm just trying to figure out. I'm just thinking like, I think this is what's happened. This is what's happened. And by the way, I think this is one of the key ways in which globalism has been spread. Because back in the old days, you had like 10% of the American population were invested in the stock market. And now it's like half of them because all their pensions are in the stock market. So all the middle classes, they're all watching the stock market. They're all watching the GDP. They're all watching, and they want the line to go up. And the stock market is globalist by its very nature. The people that are invested in it, the whole ideology, the whole thought process behind it is totally globalist. And so they've been sucked into it because it matters to them now. They want the line to go up. See what I'm saying here? This is why SJJ is so adamant about the AI, it's going to go up, and I'm pointing out basic fact. It's probably going to crash. I'm not trying to be an asshole, but every single technology that's ever been created has created a technological bubble, and then it's crashed. Happened with railways, happened with television, happened with everything. It would be incredible if it didn't crash at some point. It would be a miracle. So it's going to crash. I'm not saying I don't believe in AI. AI is here. I use AI every day. It's great. But it's going to crash at some point. Right? This is the way the market works. You have a dip, and then you get rid of the useless shit. Right? But SJJ don't want to listen to that. Why? Because he's got money invested in it. Do you see what I mean? Do you see what I'm saying? So, I mean, Warren Buffett's got 300 billion. He's keeping in his bank account. He's not investing it in AI. He doesn't see any value there. He's waiting for it to crash, and then he's going to buy. So, SJJ, if you're listening, mate, remember Warren Buffett. You invest when there's blood in the water. There's no fucking blood in the water right now. There's no blood in the water. If you've got any sense at all, this is not investment advice. You take your 100 grand, copy Warren Buffett, take it out of the bank account, wait for the market to crash, and then re-enter. Okay? I'm giving you this. I actually advised my mum back in the day to sell her house in 2007 because I knew the market would crash. Obviously, she didn't listen. Why would she? But if she had it done, she'd have 2 houses now. But anyway, whatever. It's going to crash. Sorry. That's my advice. But anyway, putting all that aside, I think this is what's happened. I think this is a big problem. I think GDP, gross domestic product, is a fake concept. It's not real. I would be much more willing. By the way, I like SJJ, and we did the Anglo Gang last year. We had many conversations, and I like to talk about economics. I'm not economically illiterate. Thank you very much. I've expressed many libertarian economic ideas. I don't remember SJJ ever having a strong opinion on any of the things that I said. Right? Let me just put that out there. Because I hate tax. I hate the NHS. I fucking hate it. 200 billion a year. I got to pay taxes for this shit. I hate the education system. I hate the pensions. I think if I was running this country, I reckon I could run this country for 200 or 300 billion a year. Totally slash the budget. And we'd have a nice small government country run on VAT. We'd have the gold standard. I've never seen SJJ express any kind of enthusiasm for any of these ideas. Any classical economics, I suppose, is what I'm trying to say here. Maybe I'm wrong, but I just don't remember him. I don't remember him expressing any kind of enthusiasm, like getting excited about it or getting annoyed at taxation. I've never seen SJJ get annoyed at taxation. Put it that way. I used to get annoyed at taxation. SJJ, no. And now he's saying, "Oh, economists agree." Like, what the fuck? What? So, really? What, the same economists that are tax raping us? You know, half of our lives. Oh my God Almighty! Half of the wealth we make in our lives goes to the government, which means we're working for the government for 20 years of our lives. We are serfs. We are being tax raped. We're all poor. We're all being driven into poverty by the government. I've never heard SJJ talk about that. I had to listen to SJJ rambling on about how we're richer now on the live stream, how we're richer now than we've ever been. Oh, I'm richer now because I can buy an iPhone. Can't buy a house. Right? The food is shit. Everybody's eating cardboard. Everything's made of plastic. I don't believe that we're richer now than we've ever been. I'm sorry. Anyway, we are being taxed to an extreme amount, more than people were in the past. Put it that way. Anyway, let's just try and continue with this. So what I'm trying to say is, like, experts fucking agree. Experts, like globalist experts that work for the Financial Times agree. Okay, like if SJJ was to present some basic small government, libertarian, business friendly talking points, maybe I could take his position seriously, but I've never seen him express any interest in that. So anyway,
being an armchair economist, you might disagree with these things, but almost no serious economist would disagree with you.
Take the vax, guys. Fucking
would agree with you, basically. So if
the appeal to authority,
the best argument is, well, this would have happened anyway, well, then we didn't need to.
By the way, this is disingenuous, because that is not the best argument. We wanted Brexit for our sovereignty. That's the best argument. And Brexit was a vote on sovereignty. People say it was about immigration. It wasn't immigration. The immigration side to it was implicit, but not explicit. It was explicitly a vote on sovereignty. It was a vote on who gets to run the country. Do we run the country, or does the European Union run the country? That's what it was a vote on. And so, and if you're against that, it means you want Germany telling us what to do. You're not a nationalist. It is shocking to me. It is really shocking to me, actually. It is shocking. I'm shocked. I'm shocked. I'm shocked. Oh God. Do you know, like, I do wonder about this. I really do. I'm sorry, I'm having a fucking hernia at the moment. I mean, let me just actually. Can I swap the? No, I'll fuck the stream up if I do that. But you guys know, if you watch my show, The Anglo Gang, every Sunday, 7:00, usually we play a video, right? It's by I forget the guy's name. So I'm really tired. I've been at work all day. I didn't get any sleep last night. But anyway, whatever. We'll keep plowing on. We play a video every week on my show. It's a very nationalistic video. We play it it's my entrance. It's the beginning of the show, right? Great video. Very nationalistic. All these images of men in red coats fighting and England and everything, right? That fucking video gets me. It fucking gets me. Every single week. It gets me, right? I feel it. Do you know what I mean? And I don't always feel music. Sometimes there are some songs where like you play them and you play them every time and like it hits you, but usually the feeling wears out after some time. Maybe this video will wear out at some point in the future, but currently we've been playing it for like 10 weeks, 12 weeks, more than that, and it gets me every time. Like I feel it. And I'm genuinely curious as to whether SJJ feels anything. I'm not trying to be an arsehole. That sounds like a horrible thing to say, but it's like, don't you fucking care? We're the English. We conquered the world. And you want to give our sovereignty away to a bunch of faceless fucking bureaucrats in Europe? And you're shocked that we're outraged at this? You're literally the enemy of our country. What the fuck are you talking about? What are you talking about? Don't you understand? What would Oliver Cromwell think? What would Nelson think? What would Churchill think? What would Alexander the Great? What would Alfred the Great think? What would these great men of England think? SJJ, does this ever cross your mind? Do you have no loyalty to this country? Am I a crazy person? Do I sound like a crazy person? Does it mean nothing? Holy fucking shit. You just want to join the European Union? What the fuck are you talking about? Anyway. Do you not have a feeling of nationalism in your heart? Do you not see the Union Jack? Even I remember, I don't know why I'm talking about my mum in this video. Keeps coming up. But anyway. One of the reasons, because I expressed my frustration. You know, back in the day, I was part of the alt-right. I got fed up with the alt-right. You know why I got fed up with the alt-right? Because of Morgoth. And you know what? I'm going to find this video on my hard drive. I'm going to fucking upload it, right? We'll watch it this Sunday. Why did I get fed up with Morgoth? I mean, partly it was all the gay stuff. Okay, but what happened is we had Brexit, finally, 2020. Finally got it done. Morgoth does a live stream. Sorry, he does a video. And he says, oh, I've never been into like this. I can't do a Geordie accent or whatever. He said, oh, I've never been into this, nostalgia for England and the Union Jack and all this. It's all grimy and old and I don't like it. And I'm like, what? What? Excuse me? Excuse me. What? What the fuck? What? The Union Jack is grimy and old. You know, I remember saying this to my mum. She's like, what? She's like, what crazy people are you talking to on the internet? She's like, the Union Jack is beautiful. Like, don't you love the Union Jack, SJJ? What the fuck are you talking about? How many men bled for that flag? And now you want to go and join the fucking European Union? What, just so your fucking stock market shares can go up? Are you out of your fucking mind? Anyway, let's watch the video.
Put ourselves to all of the economic impact too. But from a purely nationalist perspective, it's been a disaster for my town. You're going to just argue, well, causality doesn't prove causation. But
yeah,
I tell you what it does.
No,
it does here. You might not see it because your town hasn't been transformed. They've not gotten to the southwest of England yet. I get it.
My fucking town has been transformed, actually. It's not that bad, but it's fucking bad, okay?
But here they have. So we were sold on Brexit on getting sovereignty, control over our borders. We were actually told it would be an economic benefit to us. Like we could go around the world. You know, this nonsense. Go around the world, negotiate our own trade deals. Oh, best of British, you know. Look how all that's played out. And that we'd have better opportunities. None of that's played out. Just on the other one, which was like, you know, like how dare I bring up the personal impact that as a young person I've got less opportunities for it. When I brought this up on the show, everybody was like, oh my god, SJJ, how dare you? Well, I'm not sorry for making this argument, by the way. As a young person, right, our opportunities have been reduced.
Okay, let's just deal with this point. It's quite funny. It's quite an amusing point. Probably SJJ doesn't understand this, okay? Because he's been reading all this propaganda. Is anybody watching this? It was 27 people watching. Fuck me. Sorry, I can't follow the chat and I can't follow the chat and concentrate on two things at the same time. But hello, everyone. Probably SJJ doesn't... 43 minutes. Fucking hell, it's going to take ages. Probably SJJ doesn't understand this because he's young. But I did live in a time when we were part of the European Union and nobody went to work in France or in Poland or in Italy or in Spain or in Germany or wherever. Nobody went to work in these places because there's a language barrier. And so it's very difficult to get a job there. Now, it's easy for them to come here and get a job here because everybody speaks English. And English people are, by and large, much more tolerant of people that don't speak English well. And I know this because I've lived in foreign countries. Like, you go to Brazil, you speak to Brazilians in your broken Portuguese, and they'll be like, oh, you're not speaking the language properly, right? In their fucking crap broken English. And they, because I don't know, just people are assholes, right? But whatever, the SJJ seems to have this illusion in his mind that if we were part of the European Union, he could be a bartender in Berlin or something like this. Okay? That's just not how it ever worked. It was a one-way ticket back in the day. So, I mean, yeah, so there you go. That's that point.
Freedom of movement was like an unacknowledged nationalist asset from an individual perspective for us.
I don't see how that's a nationalist. I think you're just jamming the word nationalist in there. Freedom to move around Europe is a nationalist. No, there's not. There's got nothing to do with nationalism.
It gave you freedom. It gave us, as well as the Europeans, it gave us more opportunities. We had bargaining power because we had the opportunity to exit ourselves. Now we're trapped here. Okay, geographic mobility is social mobility. Now you're trapped. Whatever happens, you're stuck here. You don't have the option to go and work.
You're not actually trapped. You can go and work in other. I worked in a foreign country. I worked. Go and teach English in Brazil. You can still. Well, actually, that's kind of dead now because why get an English teacher when you got AI? You get ChatGPT. Talk to ChatGPT for free, isn't it? So that's kind of dead. Missed your chance there. But you can still go and work abroad if you want to. Nobody's stopping you. If you get a work visa, work permit.
Live, retire in Spain or the south of France or any of that. You can't do any of that anymore. You have to go through the process of acquiring a visa, a residency, all of these things that are much harder now. So we've actually given up options as a young person, right? We've kneecapped ourselves like in our own social mobility senses, and people don't like to hear that, but nationalism that reduces the benefits to you.
You can still go and retire in Spain if you've got money. You can go and retire anywhere if you've got money. They'll let you in. If you don't have money, they'll tell you to fuck off. Now, it's true, when we were part of the European Union, you could go to Spain as a poor person and maybe get a job there, but you wouldn't get a good job and you'd struggle to get a job because they wouldn't give you a fucking job. But maybe you could get some kind of job. Maybe you could bum around in the south of France. Maybe. But as I say, the vast majority, when we were part of the European Union, it was a one-way street for the most part. And it seems pretty awful just like sacrifice your fucking national sovereignty just because you want to be a bartender in Portugal, right? Or whatever. What job are you going to get? You know what I mean? What fucking job are you going to get in one of these countries? What does SJJ do? He works at a pool, right? Works at a leisure center. You're going to be a lifeguard in Italy. Do you think they'll give the job to you? Really? Anyway. By the way, I mean, I worked in a hotel. When did I work in a hotel? 2 years ago, a year and a half ago, whatever. I worked briefly in a hotel before I got the sack because I got into trouble. But anyway, briefly, I worked in a hotel, and I was just talking to there was a waiter there. He was an older guy, and he'd been in that business for, I don't know, 20 years or whatever. He was a chef, but now he's a waiter. And he was just telling me he was off to Switzerland or Sweden or whatever. And he was just explaining that in that industry, if you're good at what you do and you can travel all around the world. You can travel all around the world being a masseuse. Seriously, SJJ, mate, you really want to travel the world? Go and work in a fancy a fancy hotel. Genuine advice to the Zoomers. This is why, by the way, I change my job usually once a year. I don't like working factories all the time. It's good to change it. SJJ's worked in a fucking leisure center for how long? Maybe he should try a different job and then he'll broaden his horizons. That's genuine advice. Not trying to be an asshole. But genuine advice to young people. Work lots of different jobs because you'll meet different types of people and blah, blah, blah. But anyway, I worked in this hotel. Nice hotel, fancy hotel, and you talk to the waitresses, and I talked to one lady. She was a masseuse, and the chefs. Boom, 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 boom. They've all got options. They go here, they go there, they travel around the world. They do stuff. So if work in the hospitality industry is what I'm trying to say here. It's just the nature of the industry. There's a lot of young people, lots of sex going on, right? Because waitresses and the chefs, they're all doing it. Lots of drugs, lots of fun times. I know SJJ is not into that, but if anybody else is watching this who is a Zoomer, right? I saw SJJ did that interview with what's his name, Marco Coletti Spaghetti, and he was complaining he's been unemployed and he wants to be a truck driver, or he wants to learn how to drive. Fine, that's all fine and everything. But if you're a Zoomer and you don't have a fucking job and you're lonely and you're depressed, take some advice from Uncle Brutus. Okay, go and work in a restaurant, a nice restaurant, a fancy restaurant. Because if it's a fancy restaurant, it'll have lots of hot waitresses in it. Okay, or a fancy hotel. If it's a shit restaurant, then I don't know. But go and work it. Go in as a pot wash, and if you're good and you stick it out, it's going to be shit. But if you stick it out, probably they'll promote you and they'll take you on as a chef, and you can move up like that. You don't need to go to chef school to be a chef. You just go in as a pot wash and you'll get promoted. You will find a very politically incorrect environment. You'll find a lot of banter. And you'll work with a bunch of hot waitresses, and they all like to drink, they all like to party, they all like to do drugs, and they all travel. They go here and they go there. And so you'll be this is like what, again, I think one of the driving themes of this little rant that I'm having is you are who you associate with. SJJ is associating with the Financial Times, therefore he's become a globalist. Okay. If you're a lonely cunt associating with lonely cunts on the internet, like me, you'll become a lonely cunt on the internet, right? But if you're a young guy, you're lonely, you don't have a girlfriend, you don't know what you're doing with your life, and you're like, oh God, and you just want to have fun, fucking go and work in a restaurant or a hotel, fuck a waitress, right? Get some qualifications in the hospitality, like become a professional bartender, or learn how to make cocktails, or become a masseur, whatever. You can get a job in Switzerland, Sweden, Japan, go on a cruise. Really, honestly, if it wasn't for the fact I'm vegetarian, I'd be doing it probably, maybe, I don't know. But it's a lot of work actually, and there's no money in it. But anyway, if you've got this dream of traveling around Europe, right, and you've got a fucking chip on your shoulder because of fucking Brexit, go and work in a restaurant, become a chef. Okay, there's my advice for you. But anyway, whatever. Let's keep going.
What kind of nationalism is that? This is petty nationalism. This is a nationalism in name only.
Yeah, fuck you. We conquered the world. It's not nationalism in name only. It is nationalism. Nationalism means sovereignty. That's what it means. It means we make our own rules. We have our own government. We have independence. That is what sovereignty is. If you are against that, you are not a nationalist. I mean, what? I know I sound really angry. I guess I am angry. I love SJJ. He's a good guy, but I feel like I'm chastising my son. Fuck me. That's there's no such thing as globalist nationalism. That's an oxymoron. Okay. Oh, yeah, whatever. It's like female intelligence. It doesn't make any sense.
Okay.
Anyway, come on, mate.
So look, I want to get to the economics in a second, but to summarize,
yeah,
we had access. There was actually a safety valve that we underestimated. It was like we really underestimated actually what the EU migration and it gave to us in terms of labor, because you might disagree with the fact that companies and businesses require low-skilled, low-paid labor, but they do. This is an economic reality, like I said.
Okay, this is literally fucking hell. This is literally the girl. You all know the meme, right? There's the lady on Question Time. We need them. Who's going to serve us our coffee? This is SJJ now. Who's going to be our slave caste? Just like, It's really incredible, actually, this transformation. This is what happens when you read the Financial Times. You turn into Boris Johnson. You know why our country's full of Africans? Because Boris Johnson wanted to make the Financial Times happy. Right? He said it. I mean, that's a quote. I'm paraphrasing, but it's according to Dominic Cummings. I mean, that's what he said. That's what Boris Johnson said. He wanted to keep them happy. Oh, so we got to have cheap labor. And so now here we have SJJ taking the Boris position. Oh, we need cheap labor. No, we don't fucking need cheap labor. Fuck off. Fuck off. Actually, why I should be getting paid £15 an hour or £20 an hour instead of the shit wage that I'm getting. Thank you very much. Used to get a great wage 20 years ago. Used to be able to get a really good wage and make money. And you could buy shit and you could go on holiday and things were good. Now it's survival. That's all it is. We're just surviving. And I'm fucking stupid for wanting to get paid more. Essentially, what's happening here is in economics, there is the eternal struggle between capital and labor. Okay. And sometimes capital wins, sometimes labor wins. When labor wins, everything's good. And what I mean by this is where is the wealth? Who has the power? Where is the wealth? So when labor is valuable, then it means you can go out, you can work, and your work means something, and you can get a good wage for your work, and you can make money, and you can progress in your life. But when capital becomes too valuable, then wages are suppressed and labor is not valuable anymore. And then the working classes are driven into poverty. If you want a healthy civilization, you want labor to be valuable, essentially. Then you'll get a strong middle class. Then you'll have a happy egalitarian society. What we have today is a society in which capital is valuable. And if you've got the capital, the value of your capital will increase. And if you don't have the capital, you'll never catch up. You'll just get poorer and poorer. This is the divide that's going on. The rich are getting richer, the poor are getting poorer. SJJ is trying to invest it's fair enough. In the stock market because he wants to get the capital, because he wants to break free from poverty. I totally understand this. But he's somewhere along the line, he's brainwashed himself into thinking that it's good that labor is being suppressed. It's not good. It's not good for the economy, and it's not necessary. We should protect our wages. The government we should have a protectionist attitude for our industries and for our wages. You go to Switzerland, they're getting paid, I think it's like $20 an hour is like the minimum. They don't actually have a minimum wage, but you get paid a lot. You get really good money in Switzerland because they protect their wages. So they have a very high wage. They protect their labor. So this is what you want. This creates a healthy, wealthy civilization. God almighty. Basic economic talking points. Basic libertarian economic talking points. Classical economics. Basic classical economics. It seems to me, I don't even know if this is real or not. Like, is SJJ just winding me up? Is this a wind up? Is he like teamed up with some crazy? Is this a fucking wind up? I don't know. It's just like he's taking all the left wing talking points just to like piss me off. I really don't know. It's quite bizarre. But I from memory, there's about 5 symptoms of a healthy economy. You want a budget surplus, you want a trade surplus, you want high interest rates, you want government savings, and you want personal savings. I would add to that a high percentage of home ownership and a high percentage of small businesses to that. But those are usually the big 5. And what's happened is, because all of this is shit nowadays, because we have a budget deficit, we have a trade deficit, interest rates are low, so you can't save money. Nobody can save money. This is why I know one of the reasons is not just mass immigration why people can't buy a house. People can't buy a house because the middle classes are being forced to save their money in housing, because they know if they save them, if they keep their money in the bank, it's going to disappear. It's going to be inflated away. So they buy a second home, which is reasonable for them to do, to be fair. It's just shit if you live in a nice part of the country, because then all the property gets brought up by a bunch of fucking Londoners. But anyway, what the point am I making? The point I'm making is a good economy has all of these things, has a budget surplus, a trade surplus, etc., etc. We don't have any of these things, and because they want to hide this, they talk about GDP instead. They've created this gross domestic product. You know, it's just nobody's really sure exactly how it's calculated, and you can fiddle it. I mean, it's the old thing of, it's the old story, right? You know how gross domestic products calculated? SJJ and his friend, they go into the forest, right? SJJ pays his Indian friend from his asylum hotel. He pays him to dig a hole. He pays him £1,000 to dig the hole, and then his friend pays SJJ £1,000 to put the mud back in the hole. And that's gross domestic product. That they've done something now. They've increased the gross domestic product. I'm literally, that is how gross domestic product works. So it's a measurement of wealth, but it's an inaccurate measurement of wealth. So our country is measuring, and all economies in the world, they're measuring their wealth through gross domestic product, because they're trying to hide the fact that we got a fucking budget deficit that's been going on for years, and the debt is building up and up and up, and we got a trade deficit, and our industries are being ground down, and we've got low interest rates, so nobody can save any money, and we've got no savings, we've got debts, and we've got no personal savings. Everybody's broke and in debt. So the vitals of the economy are shit. We are so fucking much poorer than we were before. We are so poor. But it's like, oh no, the GDP is doing good. Yeah, economists agree. I read the Financial Times. Yeah, it's gross domestic product. Yeah, fuck off. Unbelievable. Anyway.
Say, in your fantasy ideal world, you know, you would impose restrictions on this, but there aren't. So we had access to this large pool of labor. Entrepreneurs and businesses require low-skilled, low-paid labor, but they do. This is an economic reality. Like I say, in your fantasy ideal world, you know, you would impose restrictions on this, but there aren't. So we had access to this large pool.
It reminds me of what is that concept? The hypothetical, the contingent hyper. You know the story. You know, somebody with an 80 IQ, an African, and you say, "How would you feel if?" Let me get this right in my head. How would you feel if you didn't have breakfast this morning? And then they say, "But I did have breakfast." You know, so it's like we're saying to SJJ, it's like, how would you feel if we had Brexit and the politicians actually made Brexit work? And he's like, but they didn't make it work. Do you see what I'm saying, guys? Conditional hypotheticals. You need a certain high IQ to be able to understand this shit. I mean, SJJ's smart, but anyway, whatever.
Of labor that was very culturally similar to us, Polish people, Lithuanians, Romanians even.
Yeah.
They had high employment rates. They weren't on welfare. It was seasonal. They'd come and go. It was more like a demographic churn rather than permanent change. The economy, when that valve closed overnight, the economy still needed care workers, food processors, warehouse pickers.
SJJ wants cheap labor. He's not going to wipe somebody's bum. This is the Zach Polanski's quote. We need cheap labor. We need Polish people. We need cheap labor to wipe bums. Holy fucking shit.
construction workers, NHS staff. This demand didn't disappear. It was rerouted. I saw it with my own eyes. That rerouting is not accidental. It's a direct structural consequence of Brexit. All the same businesses, the same warehouses, and the same factories that...
What should have happened after Brexit is they should have stopped immigration and then everybody would be paid more. Bush. End of story. And then you wouldn't have so many people sitting on the dole. Everybody would be paid more. That's supply and demand. You cut the supply, the demand goes up. You cut the supply of cheap labor, the demand, people get paid more. Don't you want to get paid more? Fucking insane. Just insane.
Used to have Poles, Lithuanians, Romanians working in it. Now it's Africans who live in my town and they don't go home because the barrier to entry to get here was a lot higher. They came for a better life. They've seen a better life. They don't want to go home. And what's more, they bring their brother's family over too. So show me the benefits, please. If I'm the traitor to nationalism, just like analyzing this and saying, how have I benefited? Show me the benefits. Where am I on the video? 10 minutes already.
Well, you haven't benefited it, but that's because of the politicians, not because of Brexit. It's because they fluffed it. So, you know.
Oh my God. Well, I talk about economics briefly, very
1
briefly.
hour.
There's this other
1 hour.
that people weren't really aware of called the Dublin Agreement that ended on the 31st of December 2020, which meant that an illegal immigrant inside the EU, where the first place that they were processed and had their fingerprints taken, they could rightfully be sent back there. This was the Dublin Arrangement for illegal migrants. So we had the right to send illegal migrants who turned up in the UK back to France or Italy because that was the first place that they were processed. That went away. And it's actually part of the structural reason why the small boat problem has become such a problem that it has. Even the migrants know this themselves.
This is actually a good point. I didn't know any of this, so this is a good point from SJJ. But again, it's not Brexit's fault, it's the politicians' fault, right? Sorry, but everything comes back to the politicians. It's their fault.
They even boast about this. Brexit made it easy for small boat crossings to reach the UK. Refugees say. They know this. They know now that when they come here, we have no agreement with EU countries whereby those EU countries are bound by their own rules to accept the migrants back. So yes, the illegal migration is a temporal phenomenon all across the EU and has been something that has radically increased all across the EU. And so that is something that would have happened anyway. We're now in the structural problem where it's harder to swap migrants back with France, with Italy, because we kneecapped ourselves by ending the Dublin Agreement, which is just mental when you think about it. It's just insane when you think about it. It would be much better, by the way, to be one of the EU countries who are just paying the fine. It's a €20,000 fine per migrant, per illegal migrant that you refuse to accept.
I don't want to be paying anybody fucking £20,000 to not let illegal immigrants into my country. Like, what kind of cucked attitude is this? Again, sovereignty. Brexit was about sovereignty. Did they fuck it up? Yes, they did. But we have a chance now to make our country our own.
Hungary does this. I think the Netherlands has started doing it. Perhaps Denmark too. If you refuse to take, because occasionally the EU shares migrants around. They say we've got a problem. Everybody needs to do their part. Everybody needs to accept a few migrants, and they try to share them around. If you refuse to take them, it's £20,000 per person a 20,000 euros per person fine. That is far cheaper, bro, than taking an African fresh off the boat.
You know what's cheaper? Shooting them. Fucking hell.
You can't
In Minecraft, that's a joke. That was a joke, but you know, theoretically.
speak English, go straight on welfare in SJJ's town, gets a house paid for him, gets sent on all these courses, gets a car paid for, gets English language lessons, NHS benefit, gets his goofy teeth done on the dentist free, all this stuff that we're paying for now per migrant that we can't send home, when we could have just paid the 20,000 euro fine and kept access to the EU market for our companies and our businesses. Which brings me on to the economic benefits. Every economist agrees that we are in a worse place scenario for
Economists agree.
Brexit. So it's okay for you with your armchair economics to just disagree with that and say, in my perfect world, I don't know, would be on the gold standard or something, you know, in my, you know, perfect world, pie high sky fantasy.
I mean, Japan's doing all right. By the way, their economy's, like they say, it's falling to pieces, but it's still a first world country, isn't it? I mean, they're doing all right. Why can't we just be like Japan? It's not inconceivable, is it?
Things would be different, but every economist disagrees. We're worse off today for Brexit, says Goldman Sachs. It's hampered the economy to the tune of 5% versus other comparable estimates. Three key factors.
I just realized I've just done this whole stream with my volume on low, but anyway, whatever.
Factors: reduced trade, weaker business investment, low migration from the EU. The structural cyclical.
So, by the way, like, this is coming from Goldman Sachs. We're now quoting Goldman Sachs. Again, is this just a wind up?
Costs of Brexit estimates that the UK economy grew 5% less over the past 8 years than other comparable economies. The true hit could be 4 to 8% of real GDP. It's hard to extract the impact of Brexit from the COVID-19 and the energy crisis, but real GDP is a growth metric that has been adjusted for inflation. Goldman Sachs attributed the economic shortfall to three key factors. We've just talked about that.
Yeah, this part's the boring part of the video, but yeah, we'll just finish it. But Japan still has a manufacturing base. Yeah, you know what our industry is in this country? Housing. That's all it is. We are in a death spiral. We build houses and we sell houses to immigrants and to foreigners that come here. That's all. It's fucking, like, it's really bad. It's really bad. Yeah. I don't know. I don't know what to say.
Blah blah blah. Basically, the economy is worse. I
mean, SJJ's saying all this, but it's not like we're reindustrializing the country, is it? Do you know what I mean? It's not like Keir Starmer's building power stations to fix the energy problem and opening factories, and there's like a huge push to, you know, start making things again. Oh, we need all the cheap labor because we need them in the factories to make things. That is not what is happening. These people are fucking unemployed. They're living on the dole. Anyway, whatever.
Some more from King's College London. New research finds UK investment up to 18% lower as a result of Brexit. The study, this was on 3rd of December, the study led by King's Business School found Brexit has had a substantial lasting impact on the UK economy, with business investment hit the hardest. They think it's GDP in the UK is between 6 to 8% below its pre-Brexit level. Business investment 12 to 18% lower than had Brexit not occurred. The authors described the Brexit process as a long and protracted shock that depressed investment, restrained hiring.
Can I say, like, by the way, I mean, again, this is just bullshit. Like, these numbers are bullshit. Business investment is estimated to be between 12 and 18% low. How the fuck do you know? How do you know? What are you talking about? This is this is a low IQ economic fluff piece. Okay, this is verbal bamboozling. Oh, King's College London. Yes, economics. Yes, business investment is estimated to be 18% lower. No, how the fuck do you know? How is that calculated? Anyway, whatever.
And reduce productivity growth. A macroeconomic comparison that simulated how the UK would have performed had it continued to grow in line with a group of 33 comparable economies, and drew data from more than 7,000 firms matched to firm accounts. The firm analysis draws on differences in firms
fluff, all of it, complete fluff. These are not economic facts. This is an opinion piece.
2016 exposure to the EU to show how Brexit influenced their investment, employment, and productivity.
Fluff.
The researchers report that investment fell sharply relative to comparable economies after 2016 and continued to diverge. One was the uncertainty. Brexit created what authors called large, broad, and lasting economic uncertainty.
Well, I will agree. I mean, uncertainty is not good for the economy. Again, whose fault is that? Is that Brexit, or is that the politicians that faffed around for 5 years without sorting the thing out? I mean, David Cameron should have just gone, and we should have left the next day. But he didn't, because he didn't want to. And so, again, they deliberately plunged us into this thing because they want us to rejoin. It's not the leaving that's the problem. It's the way it's managed, you see. Again, like I did say at the beginning, this entire video is going to be basically me repeating this point. You're blaming it on the wrong thing.
More than half of UK firms cite Brexit as one of their top 3 concerns. Persistent uncertainty can depress investment because it forces firms to postpone or cancel capital spending. You get the picture. They also point out in here that we have worse migrants.
Yeah.
They actually say it. We ended up with the worst caliber of person.
Yeah.
And we used to have good migrants who wouldn't end up on welfare and would go home. Now they're on benefits. So, look, everybody agrees the economic impact has been a kneecapping of the economy. From a pure nationalist perspective, you can't tell me there's been any benefits. The refugees themselves tell us it's much easier now when they get here because they can't be sent back home. And what's more...
2 minutes more. 2 minutes.
Which is the ultimate sin to dare to utter, lest you be called a traitor to nationalism, is that you have less opportunities than you did before. It actually was an amazing thing. Just think of it. It was an amazing opportunity that you had, that you no longer have, where you could go and live anywhere in Europe and nobody could stop you. Now you don't. I don't. And to dare to utter this is wrong, and you hear the guffaws and people cry out.
Again, you can still go and live anywhere in Europe if you've got the money, or if you're, as I say, become a waiter or a chef, or develop some skill that, because in the hospitality industry, there used to be people moving around like that, or find some other niche and you can do it. And again, I mean, it's like the guy's wishing for something that never happened. He's wishing for a time and a thing that never happened. There was never a time in the noughties in which people were just going and working in Germany. Oh, I went to work in Germany for 6 months and then I came back. No, that never happened. People in England never did that. It was not a thing. I know, I'm not lying to you. None of the Gen Xers went and did that. If people in England wanted to go abroad, usually they go and teach English, which is what I did. That was the scam. That was the trick. Or as I say, hospitality. But anyway, whatever. Just repeat myself.
Allowed? Oh my God. SJJ, you dared to go there? Yes, I did. Selfishly, but also for you. You know, think about it. You have much less social mobility open to you by this decision. And now you're stuck here. Okay, you're stuck here. And we have to make the best of this. I'm an optimistic person. Actually, I was accused of doomerism with it. I'm not. I'm the most optimistic around, by the way. I am actively engaged in social mobility because I understand the dilemma that we're in this country, and I want to be in a place where I have options in 10 years.
So he wants to leave.
For all the rest of you, I'm
so he's given up and he wants to leave.
So we have much less options available to us than we did before. We kneecapped ourselves. We threw away this golden opportunity where you could just go and live anywhere that you want in Europe. What a wonderful, actually, thing it was at the time.
Sounds like he just wants to leave. Do you know what I mean? I don't blame him if his country's full of Africans, but I mean, Germany's full of Africans too. So's France. It's all shit, mate. It's all going down the drain. Like, in case you haven't noticed, we just had New Year's Eve in all of these nice European cities, and they got a bunch of fucking Africans on the street rioting, beating people up. People don't go out anymore, by the way. People don't go out. Christmas celebrations, cancelled. New Year's celebrations, cancelled. The Europe of 10 years ago is gone. The Europe of 20 years ago is completely gone. So even if we were still in the European Union, why would you want to go and live in? I mean, the only place where you could go and live in Poland, that'd be nice, I suppose. But anyway.
So look, there's my arguments. Don't want to fall out with anybody over there. It's been a 20-minute video. Brexit was a scam, bro. It didn't work out. We were fooled. I was fooled, just like everybody. This is the Brexit that we got. And yeah, that's it. Thanks for watching. Feel free to argue in the comments if you want. But anyway, bye for now.
Anyway, all right, cheers. Yeah, so anyway, there you go. There you go. Push. There you go. There you go. Yeah, what happened, dude? SJJ exit. I could have been a Deliveroo driver in Romania. Yeah. Apparently, we've outperformed Germany since 2020. Yeah, maybe. I don't know, guys. Anyway, peace and love live stream. We love SJJ. I mean, I've pretty much said everything I want to say. I mean, I should probably just end the stream here, but I've said everything I want to say. Okay? Just to repeat, Brexit was about sovereignty. It's about loving your country. It's about having control of your destiny. That's what nationalism is. If you're against Brexit, you are against nationalism, and you're effectively against England, because you just want England to be an economic unit. I mean, it's really. Let me tell you a story. Okay, we'll end with a story. I worked in a factory a few years ago in the middle of COVID. Some guy turned up at the factory, right? Very pompous kind of guy. And this guy was like, I'm a libertarian, right? I was like, looking at him, I'm like, okay, all right. And so I said to him, what do you think about the lockdowns? He's like, well, I don't know. I'm a bit unsure about it. It's like, well, you're not a fucking libertarian then, are you? What are you talking about? You're not a libertarian. You don't have the right to call yourself a libertarian. I mean, I'm quite serious about it, actually, because it's like, you're waving a flag, but you don't deserve to wave that flag because you don't believe in liberty. You don't believe in freedom. Because if you're a libertarian, you would be against the lockdowns, obviously. And this is one of the problems, because you've got all these people on the internet, or the Adam Smith Institute, and all these, all these different groups and thinkers and talking heads and the mainstream media. They're all pretending to be in favor of freedom of speech and all this, but they're not. They're not in favor of freedom, and they're not in favor of liberty, because push comes to shove, when the government locks you in the home, they'll go along with it. So it's shit, isn't it? It's all a load of shit. You're just fake. You don't deserve the badge, right? And in a similar way, you want to be part of the European Union, you don't deserve to call yourself a nationalist. I'm sorry, because you're not. You're not. This is not what our boys died for in war after war after war after war. How many wars did we fight against France and Spain and Germany? It's just incredible. I mean, this is why I get on another tangent. Why I get annoyed with fucking Sargon. Oh, you know, I'm not. Liberalism is shit. He says that liberalism is shit, and then at the end of his video, he's like, "Oh, I don't know what we're going to replace it with. I'll think of something, right? With my massive brain, I'll invent a new political philosophy." All right, thanks, Sargon. Thanks, mate. Yeah, we'll just throw away our entire way of life in the hope that you'll think of an alternative. Thanks for that, mate. But then he sits down and he does a an hour-long podcast with his friend, what's his name, Dan, talking about what's going to happen in the next election. It's like, what the fuck are you talking about? You just said you've given up on liberalism, which means you've given up on democracy. So you don't have the right, mate, to talk about what's happening in the next election. You're against it. You've turned against the philosophy on which democracy is founded. What the fuck are you talking about? So people need to get their isms sorted out. On Twitter, it's quite clearly declared, I am an ethno-liberalist. I may just change that to ethno-libertarian so that people can... It's an American term, but it basically means the same thing. But problem with liberalism, it gets mixed with sexual liberalism, and I'm not really that... Well, I'm against the gay stuff, you know. But you got to get your isms and your ists worked out. If you are against Brexit, you're not a nationalist. You're not a nationalist. This is why I hate Richard. This is one of the reasons I fell out with the alt-right in the first place. Partly because of the Morgoth thing. Oh, the Union Jack. Oh, I don't like it. You got to understand the old white nationalist movement back in 2020 and before that, the old British alt-right. A lot of those guys were very pro-European Union because they don't really, they believe in the white race as a sum total. You see, they don't really believe in nationalism. I remember Millennial Woes complaining once because we were making fun of the French. He's like, oh, you can't do that. You know, no more brother wars. So fuck off, mate. I'm English. It's my job to make fun of the French. And the French should make fun of me. If the French aren't making fun of me, I won't trust them, to be honest with you. That's how it works. It's like the meme of like, everybody gets along as long as they're racist, right? It's like we had that girl, Mochi, come on the stream, right? And she was talking about her experience in a restaurant. It was all a bunch of foreigners. And it was like, as long as you're a racist, you fit in. Like, as long as you're making fun of the German guy and the German guy's making fun of the Spanish guy and the Spanish guy's making fun of the Indian and whatever, then everything's okay. Do you see what I mean? You've got to hate other countries. That's your duty as an Englishman. And if you hate other countries, then you're going to want independence. I don't understand. Like, I'm really confused by all this because SJJ obviously was against the Nazi stuff. He thought the Nazi stuff was stupid, and he took my side on that. But maybe for completely different reasons. Like I'm quite lost as to what his thinking is. But I mean, I feel like a parent now, judging my son, SJJ. Not really. That's a joke. But anyway, do you know what I mean? But I do feel like Richard Spencer has just been a bad influence on him. And you can go back and listen to the live stream on Sunday. And the conversation kicked off with him quoting Richard fucking Spencer. Richard fucking Spencer, who was always against Brexit. And also, by the way, pro-Ukraine, which is SJJ's opinions. So I think Spencer's just been a bad influence. Maybe Colin Liddell as well. Maybe Claire Core. Again, It is. You are who you associate with. I'm trying to invite Prince on cope mode. Did you even watch? Have you even watched, or have you come in at the end? Right, go and fucking go back and watch it. It's I'm trying to invite Claire Core on the show because I just felt filled with Christmas cheer, and I thought, well, I'll invite her on. Why not? But I don't. It's kind of, when I invite her on, it's like a comedy thing. Like, I don't respect her opinions, and I don't trust her, and I don't really like her. But it's like, whatever. I kind of feel sorry for her for whatever reasons. We'll have her on. But she is a Muslim. She's a Muslim woman. And she's the enemy of this country. And I'm quite clear about that in my mind. So when I talk to her, it's going to be quite an abrasive conversation, I think. But, you know, whatever. I'll talk to her. But I certainly wouldn't spend time hanging out with her. So I don't know what SJJ is doing. Like, again, you are who you associate with. If you're hanging out with people who hate our country, it's going to poison your brain. Do you know what I mean? So I don't get on with Martinez. He was very rude to me for absolutely no reason at all. So it's too spicy for me. I don't really get on. I mean, I'm a very aggressive person, but I mean, you see, I just got angry, but I love SJJ. I love him. I love him. Wish him well. We love you, SJJ. It's all good. No problem. You're just young and you'll grow up. But I do think, again, you are who you associate with. I think a lack of reading, is there a lack of interest in history is part of the problem. This is, I mean, when we used to do the live stream, I used to talk about Hengist and Horsa repeatedly because the English, we are the Anglo-Saxons. Hengist and Horsa came over from Denmark. SJJ's never been interested in any of that. I remember him saying once, I still don't know who Hengist and Horsa are. And it's like, well, why not? Why haven't you just Wikipedia'd that? Why didn't you just look it up? Are you not curious? Right? Where's the curiosity for your national mythology? It's not there. And so there's no curiosity for history. There's no like, you don't want to know who John Dee is. You don't want to know who Shakespeare is. I mean, Shakespeare is probably Francis Bacon. You don't want to know who these great characters in history are and how the story all fits together and how we became who we are. Again, I'm not trying to diss SJJ, but it's just he's never expressed much of an interest in these things. It's never come out. I've never heard him say, "Oh, wow, yeah, the Reformation, yeah, we really got rid of those Catholics," or something like this, right? Or yeah, Alfred the Great, he was fucking awesome. I've never heard SJJ say that or anything of that sort. And so I don't see a love of history. And if you don't have a love of history, then what is this? Where is this just an economic zone in which we live? And he thinks like this economic zone would be better off if we're part of Europe. And that's what ends up happening. He just thinks that's his train, that becomes his train of thought, you see. It's very shallow thinking. It's very Richard Spencer type thinking, by the way. And Richard Spencer was a complete failure of a leader for the alt-right. God's own prototype in the chat. We have access to a large pool of low-skill labor. It's called young people. They just regulated them out of the market. Yeah. Close the schools. Put the 14-year-olds into the factories. They can live with mum and dad, save up money, get into the housing market at 25. That's what I would do if I was prime minister. Anyway, just ranting now. So, yeah. So, thank you everybody much. Thank you everybody very much. Thank you Right, I'm gonna go and have something to eat. I'm gonna go and cook dinner. Thank you very much for watching. God bless. Thank you, SJJ. And we love SJJ. He's a good guy, always welcome on the Anglo Gang. And what can I say? I hope that this answers his questions. I hope that this was a good response. And we like the debate. The debate is good. The conversation's good. You don't see this, by the way. You don't see this on Millennial, do you? You don't see any of those fucking people disagreeing with each other because they're all brainwashed. Because Millennial Woes is gay and it's a gay mafia. And if you criticize Grinder Greg, then you won't get invited to Millennial. Well, I'm just saying. But there you go. But me and SJJ, at least we can disagree with each other, and that's beautiful, and that's healthy, and that's good. And anyway, I'm just rambling now. So thank you very much. Thank you very much for watching. Thank you. Goodbye. Bye.